Hello everyone. So this is my first video on my new channel, Wicked Nice Witch. And today for my first video I am going to be doing a prophetic / lucid dream pillow. And so I'm going to be using things, going to be combining color magic with herbs and a crystal. Of course, you don't necessarily have to use these things because it's really all about intent and what you put in as far as energy. But I will go through the things that I am using in case you want to do one like it. So I am using purple fabric. So I do want to apologize about the camera quality because this camera is absolute crap. But I also want to apologize for my stitch job because I am not a seamstress and it will show in my work. So I stitched 3 sides of this pillow. So as you can see, I do have the top open, but I did stitch the sides and the bottom. So I used purple because purple is the color of spirituality. It's the color of intuition. It's, and it's really, now I just want to make a statement that you can use whatever color you feel suits you. And, because sometimes, there is color magic and color charts, but really just go by what your gut is telling you. I went with purple because I feel like I'm most connected to purple. And, for me, it was the right color for me. And I used black thread for protection. And so I have those. And then for my crystal, I'm using a dream amethyst. And so I'm going to be putting this in my pillow. I have it on a selenite charging bowl. I'm telling you, if you should invest the money for one of these babies because it is amazing. Because a lot of times I charge my crystals on the full moon and all of that, but sometimes you want to do things like on the fly. Like you just, decide you're going to be spontaneous and you're going to do a spell, or you're going to do a dream pillow, for instance, or a sachet or a poppet or whatever it is. And, if you just decide that you want to do something like that, one of these, the selenite charging bowl, is amazing because you can do that. You can literally just pop a crystal on it overnight and it cleanses and charges your crystal. So, and selenite is one of the stones that doesn't need any cleansing or charging. So I've had this on overnight, so I'm going to use a dream amethyst. I am going to be using rosemary. Rosemary is great for dreams. One of its properties is for prophetic dreaming and lucid dreaming. Same thing with hops. Don't mind the numbers. I store my herbs in like this weird color coded like thing. It's like very organized. The rest of my life is in disarray, but my herbs are organized. Mugwort. I'm going to be using mugwort for prophetic dreams as well. And the last one for prophetic lucid dreaming is hibiscus. I'm also going to add sage for psychic enhancement. And I'm going to use dragon's blood for protection. So I'm kind of combining all of these things together. I also have a giant bag of polyfill. If you don't, it costs about $10 for the bag. It lasts you a super long time, even if you're making a ton of pillows. But if you're a witch on a budget, which a lot of us are, you can literally go to, the dollar store and buy a bag of cotton balls for $1 and just pull the cotton balls apart and stuff your pillow with that. And that will last you a little bit of time too. So that is witch on a budget tip. So, all right. So basically I've stitched the 3 sides. So I have this opening and I'm going to stuff some things in there. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of polyfill, about this much. Because, when you push it down, it's like almost nothing. So I'm going to stuff this little bit in here. So we have about you push it down, it's less than half, you know, so I just have this little bit. I'm going to add my herbs, then I'm going to top it off with polyfill. So first I'm going to add, first before I add the herbs, I want to say as I stitched this, I was focusing my intent on what I wanted to accomplish. I was seeing it coming true in my mind's eye. So I really poured that energy into the fabric and the stitch work. It's really important to do that more than anything else, really. I mean, you charge your crystals and you empower and give your herbs a purpose and all of that, which I've done. But it's really important to really direct that energy into, especially if you're creating something. So if you're creating a dream pillow, a poppet, anything like that, it's really important to pour that energy in. So as I stitched, I was focusing my intent. I was seeing it come to fruition, and I was really pouring that energy into the fabric and into the stitch work. As horrible as the stitch work is, I will never claim to be a seamstress. I would never want to be a seamstress. Nobody would want me to be a seamstress. So first I'm going to add my hops. And hops is just like this really flaky, I'll try to show you here, and I'm making a mess. So hops is just like this really leafy, my camera is so bad. So, so I'm going to put some of this. It's important to put enough where you can smell it. Hops has a nice smell. I mean, I'm kind of earthy, so I think that all of the earthy smells smell amazing. While other people like, that smells like dirt. And I'm like, I love it. So it's important to put enough because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in my pillowcase, but I'm going to smell it before I go to bed each night. So I'm going to put a little bit more. So I put about 3 pinches of hops. And let me just close that, because if I don't close it, herbs will be a-flying, because I know me and I know how much of a mess I can make. So next is going to be rosemary. So same thing, rosemary has a wonderful smell. So I'm going to put the same thing, about 3 pinches. And these are just small pinches. These are, you know, not like a ton. Rosemary is very small anyway. They're almost like little miniature pine needle looking things. So that's my rosemary. And next I'm going to put in my mugwort. I love the smell of mugwort. So same thing. It's going to be the same thing with everything. About 3 pinches, 3 small pinches, you know, just enough like that. So I'm going to put those in there. So that's 1, 2, and 3. So that's my mugwort. Next is my hibiscus. And those first 4 herbs are for prophetic and lucid dreaming. So hibiscus has a very unique look. I'm only going to put 1 of these in because they're pretty decent sized. So I'm going to put that, just 1 hibiscus in there. And then next I'm going to put some sage. And the sage is for psychic enhancement. It will help open my third eye. It will help me to achieve what my intent is. So same thing. Now, if you have leafy sage, like in a bundle, and you want to break it apart, you can. I actually have it. I don't know if you can see it, but it's almost like ground up sage. So I'm putting 3 pinches of the ground up sage in there. And if you're using leafy, you could just put like a little bit, you know. And the last thing before the crystal is dragon's blood, and it's like a resin. So dragon's blood smells absolutely amazing. So I'm just going to put 1 of these in because these are, you know, pretty decent sized. So I'm going to drop the resin in there. And I am going to put the Dream Amethyst in as well. And then I'm going to top it off with some polyfill. So I'm just going to grab a little bit more. And I'm just going to grab less than what I first grabbed because now we're just filling to the top. And the polyfill helps keep the herbs in place so they're not like shifting around. And especially if you're using something like a powdery herb, sometimes those can have some fallout. So the polyfill helps to keep it in place and not, just flying around in there. So just take as much as you need to kind of fill. You want to leave a little bit of space at the top. That way you can stitch it shut. So let me just do that. I'm gonna see, this is what I'm saying. I'm a mess. I took the Hot Mess Express to get here. So I am now going to stitch this shut. It shouldn't take me too long, and I'm using the black thread for protection. So, and I wanted to add color magic, and I wanted to, combine a lot of different things because I think it's important, especially when you're doing lucid dreaming. Sometimes when you're working with, if you're trying to open up yourself for prophetic dreaming, lucid dreaming, things like that, you can actually achieve astral projection as well. So it's important to protect yourself no matter what, really, because especially if you end up, astral projecting, it's super important to protect yourself. Astral projection is a wonderful experience. However, there are things that, just as like on this realm, in this realm, I should say, there's good things and then there's not so good things. And it's the same thing when we go to other places, other realms. So I'm going to start stitching this shut. It shouldn't take me too long at all because I am a hack when it comes to stitching. But hey, you know something? I may not be able to claim to be a fantastic seamstress or do a wonderful job sewing or whatever, but you know what? It gets the job done. So what I'm doing, if it works, it works. That's all I can say. And my husband has the TV so loud. So if it sounds like there's a battle going on in the background, that would be my lovely husband. So while I stitch this, I am just going to give you a little bit of background about myself and explain why I started this channel. So that way you're not just sitting here watching me stitch this. So I've been practicing the craft for about 15 years, and I was raised in a Catholic home, and it just never resonated with me. It was one of those things where, some people just know from a very young age that that's not who they are. They know that just doesn't resonate with them, and that was me as a child. It just didn't make any sense. And so I found this path in my 20s, my early 20s, probably about 22. And so I was like, this is what I'm meant to be. I'm meant to be a spiritual person, not a religious person. And so I've been practicing my craft for about 15 years, and I said, I think it would be fun to create a YouTube channel, and I also have a group on Facebook also called Wicked Nice Witch. And I thought it would be fun to kind of, there are some people that are on the path that are new and they don't know where to look for, things to do. And there's a lot of wonderful YouTube channels. So sometimes books can be very confusing. Sometimes if you get one book will tell you to use this thing for this purpose, and then you get another book because you're trying to learn more, and then whatever you read in that second book contradicts what you just read in that first book. And it can be very confusing when you're first starting out. And I think that's why it's so important. And I always tell everybody, that I come across that wants to start their new path as a witch or a pagan or whatever they're looking to, become. It's important to follow what feels right for you. That's so important. And you can read stuff, books are great reference guides, but they're not a rule book. And really to follow your intuition, follow your gut. If something's telling you to use a blue fabric, but the book is telling you to use red, go with the blue. Go with the blue every time if that's what it's telling you to do. Because something, it's all about our personal choice. And if we want to do something and we are feeling really connected to that blue, but we're going to use the red instead because that's what the book tells us to do. Then number one, we've conformed to some kind of rule book or structured way. And number two, if you're using the red, you may not be as focused, because it just won't feel right, especially if you felt like the blue would have been so much better for that purpose. So just go with how you feel. Go with what feels right for you. And, take everything with a grain of salt. Just do what you want. That's all I can say about that. And the Wicked Nice Witch is actually something that I thought was pretty clever, because I am from Massachusetts, and everything out here is like, oh, that's wicked cool. Oh, it's wicked hot outside. So I'm like, something, I'm gonna go with it. And so I consider myself to be a nice witch. I'm a nice person. And so I decided I'm going to go with Wicked Nice Witch. And it sounds like a play on words, So, but I'm just about done here. Now that I've given you the story of my life. So I am almost done. I'm just tying it off. That way I can show you the finished product. The stitch work is just unbelievable. And it doesn't matter how many times I stitch and sew. I've done poppets, I've done sachets, I've done dream pillows, I've done different kind of like healing pillows. Doesn't matter how many times I do it, the stitching just never gets any better. Never. So, but okay, so I finished this bag. So, as you can see, it's completely stitched up on all sides. It smells amazing. What I smell the most is the sage, because sage has a very strong smell, but it just smells amazing. So I am actually going to anoint this with some oil. That's my own personal choice. You can do so if you want. I'm actually going to use rosemary essential oil. And I'm just breaking up the hibiscus in there. But I'm going to use rosemary essential oil. And I'm going to anoint this. And I'm going to meditate with it before I go to bed. Again, my personal choice. And then I'm going to stick it in my pillowcase. And before I go to bed every night, I'm going to smell. I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to smell it. And I'm going to refocus my intent into the pillow. So when I go to sleep at night, I can achieve what I intend. And so that is how you make a dream pillow. So I hope that this was helpful. And I look forward to entertaining you with my horrible stitch jobs and my life stories in future videos. So I will see you guys next time. Bye.